G'day there guys, I'm pretty exceptional at stuff, but I'm pretty good at talking too. It's your main man Markee and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. Now if you love this bloody good content, I want you to bloody sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, and get ready for some good stories. Thank you. Posted by user Velvet Shedding, titled, I 26 male can't handle my wife's 26 female PMS. Hey, I love my wife and I like to think I'm a good husband, but maybe I'm not. We've been together for 10 years and married for 1. Basically, I'm getting to the end of my rope with her PMS. I feel like a crappy misogynist every time I say this. She's always had really bad periods, and for a while, it kept getting worse. Like she couldn't go into work and would be sobbing on the floor. I took her to an OB-GYN and she got a surgery to remove endometriosis lesions. Ever since then, it's been night and day with the pain. I'm really glad she's not in pain anymore. It was hard enough to see her going through it, so I couldn't imagine being on her end of it. I guess I say this to maybe paint a better picture of myself, like I'm empathetic to her menstrual health. But I really struggle with her PMS, and I'm always trying to Google ideas of what to do. It's all stuff like, give her a hot water bottle, give her a back rub, support her. And I do all that. After the PMS, it's not like she's in need of a water bottle when the cramps aren't even there yet. I struggle so hard with the hormonal swing. Her anxiety gets out of control, and she catastrophizes everything. Nothing I say is able to calm her down. The most recent time she was having a breakdown, she was convinced we were going to be evicted, and I was so exhausted, I just let her rant. But then she said that I didn't even care about anything or her. So I gave in and talked her down. And that's not the worst one. Last month was my father's funeral, and she was starting her period and just everything was about her and her emotional needs. It was so exhausting. I feel crappy when I don't support her. My therapist keeps saying that things seem unfairly divided, but I don't know. I feel like she just has big emotional needs, and eventually it'll be my turn. Or maybe there is something I'm not seeing. Is there something I should do about the PMS, or is it something else? Once her period starts, she always gets really embarrassed and is like, I guess that's why I went crazy there. Is there anything I can do? I feel so lonely when she gets like this. And apologies for my dyslexia, hope this is readable. TLDR, my wife has emotional breakdowns before most of her periods, and I don't know how to handle them. I'm feeling pretty selfish. In the comments, White Belt says, I feel like she just has big emotional needs, and eventually it'll be my turn. If your father's funeral wasn't your turn, then nothing ever will be. That was infuriating to read. If you were so hormonally screwed up that your husband's at his dad's funeral, but you managed to make it about yourself, then you should have gotten on a strict medication plan yesterday. OP replies, I guess I just meant that I could wait out the hormones before dealing with my emotions with her, but in retrospect, it sounds pretty dumb. This sounds like PMDD and not normal PMS. I have PMDD, and 3 days out of the month I get super anxious and suicidal. I think everything and everyone would be better off without me. I cry at the drop of the hat. I see animosity in everyone's interactions with me. I now take a medicine, and while it doesn't take away that stuff 100%, it damps it down enough that I realize what's happening and can mitigate most issues. Your girl needs to see her gyno and describe these symptoms to them. I take Cymbalta 60 milligrams, which also has the added benefit of helping the pain as well. Sorry you have to go through that. I think I'll suggest she look into it when she's out of the worst of it. Hope it goes well. She barely has any cramps that a back rub can't help these days. I'm so happy the surgeon scooped all that crap out of her. Endometriosis can heck off. I also had surgery for my endometriosis when I was about her age. That helped the pain a lot. And Trail Quail says, if you're being honest and complete with your description, this is not normal PMS. She needs to pursue medical options to modulate her hormonal swings, and then therapy to learn to better cope if that doesn't resolve the issue. This is difficult for you, but is also probably no picnic for her either. OP replies, she's been to a doctor about anxiety in the past and is currently in therapy, though it's mostly focused on her ED. We were trying for a baby the past few months, which was an explanation for her hormones wilding out since the meds were a lot. Maybe I'm the one out of whack the past few months, and I should be trying to keep up my compassion. She just woke me up to yell at me a few weeks back, and I've been struggling to get it out of my head. If she's waking you up to yell at you, it's not about you not showing enough compassion. She needs medical treatment specifically for the mood and thought changes that happen when her period is approaching. Also, speaking from experience, a baby will 100% make things worse. Resentment from a baby combined with hormones wrecks even the healthiest marriages. I've seen it happen so many times. Be prepared for things to change. Not trying to dissuade you from having a baby. My son is the best thing that has ever happened to me. I'd encourage counseling together beforehand and addressing issues that might come up before they happen, like responsibilities and how you'll divvy up diaper, feeding duties, etc. Those first few years when the kid is young are tough. It does get so much easier though when the child is older, if you can make it through those first rocky years where the dynamic changes. Were you trying for a baby with fertility meds? Yeah, we were doing medicated cycles with donor sperm. We were in the middle of our first cycle when my dad died. We're on a break because of the stress, and we're planning to start up again if she started feeling better in a couple of months. Aha! So the fertility hormones make people go full loop bozo. They're not for the faint of heart. It will take her a while to recover her hormonal equilibrium. To be fair, pregnancy may also do that. Hormones are a mother effer. But those fertility drugs make people absolutely back-crap licorice whip crazy pants. Quote, my therapist keeps saying that things seem unfairly divided, end quote. What does your therapist mean by this? And it's a bit weird that your therapist says things rather than referring to specific things. What is unfairly divided? Home management? Emotional labor? This does not sound like normal PMS. He said chores for one. But I kind of disagree on that one. He also said that it seems unfair that my dad died and I spent the month comforting her. I guess my therapist feels that the emotional support is one-sided. She got the first negative pregnancy test a week after he died. I really didn't want to burden her with all my feelings on top of that. You know, it does sound one-sided. I mean, I get it. Trying for a baby, negative test, but your dad died. What does stuff look like when you're not about to have or having period? And now on to the update. I'm thankful for all the comments on my original post. I really started to wonder if it might be PMDD. When she was calm, I talked to her about her mood swings. She agreed that it was a problem, but didn't have a clue what to do about it. So things stayed mostly the same. Now, I was also struggling, still am, after the death of my father. At a routine checkup with my doctor, I told her about my symptoms of depression. She agreed that it sounded concerning, and she got me an emergency referral to the psychiatrist. These are the only kinds of referrals the hospital was accepting due to the pandemic. In the meantime, I got started on antidepressants. Seeing how easy that was, I went to my wife and brought up my concerns again. This time, I was able to tell her what to do and what might happen. It turns out that she has GAD. The PMS was only exacerbating it. However, this really didn't excuse her behavior around the funeral. Some comments pointed out how my emotional needs weren't being met. That was a pretty big understatement. I was in huge denial around that time. I felt like I could do nothing for my wife or for anyone. Life just felt like endless suffering. I ended up attempting to do a lot of bad stuff to myself. When I was finally contacted by the psychiatrist, I explained my situation. It was casual for a bit, but then I told him what I'd been doing and, well, he told me to admit myself to the hospital or he would send someone to get me. My wife was in complete shock when I told her what was happening, but she brought me there. When she first saw me again, she apologized for how distant and awful she had been. I didn't even bring it up, but she apologized about the funeral. The 8-hour trip had really stressed her out, and she'd been incredibly anxious about the funeral, the pandemic, baby planning, etc. But she told me that none of that was an excuse. The time apart really gave her time to think. She got me everything I needed. She visited tons, and there were hours of time to talk feelings. She worked with my doctors on safety plans, got me a bunch of welcome home gifts, and she's been a lot more helpful around the house. The medication she's on has really leveled her out. She's very happy to be on it too, and says she doesn't feel crazy anymore. She's continued to be amazing. Usually I'm the one that does most of the Christmas stuff, and usually I give all the best gifts. She's always struggled to get me things I like, but this year she actually outdid me. I have so many Switch games now. Guys, I haven't gotten to them all yet. I'm still having a rough go, but she's always telling me not to stress and focus on recovery. I'm really happy to have her. Edit to add, we aren't currently baby planning. We were trying right before my father passed, but that's now on hold for the foreseeable future. Felixing Felix says, having a baby was like a nuclear bomb to my mental health. It ruined years of therapy and treatment to get my mind to a healthy place. And for 2 years after having a baby, I was an anxious mess. It took a lot of medication, exercise, and work to get myself almost to the good mental health that I had prior to having a baby. And I just have anxiety, ADHD, and seasonal affective disorder. Definitely save up a fund so you can afford the amount of babysitting or nannying you might need if you do have kids. Around the births of our children, 4 years or so in total, my ex-wife changed quite a bit. She got really anxious. She started dreaming about planes crashing and the world ending. She bought heavily into the 2012 end of the world crap, to the point of embarrassing my family and her social circle, the point being that this was driven by her anxiety. I became pretty sure she had GAD. She visited counselors a few times, but in the end, she convinced that nothing was wrong with her. My counselor says I'm doing everything right. I hope she's doing better now. I have GAD, and what you described sounds pretty familiar, if not the same to what I had dealt with. I was highly paranoid and wouldn't sleep at night anymore, and when I did sleep, I would constantly have nightmares about an apocalypse. My therapist at the same time explained that was likely my body and brain's way of translating and expressing extreme stress. That crap is no fun. And also in reply to OP's post, the Mighty Ras says, wow, this is lovely news. It also puts into perspective that even if things can truly get unbearable, you manage to fight for your own needs and desires, and in the end, it changed your relationship for the better too. Congratulations, and don't be surprised. A cat or kitten will turn your world upside down as well. Hopefully you can find a good fit. Posted by user ThrowRA99TigerParent. Titled, My 19 male parents are kicking me out by the end of March. How can I convince them not to? I'm not leeching off them. I literally had 2 jobs I worked. My dad and mum came into my room today and had a one-on-one with me. They wanted me to leave. They're giving me till the end of March to get my things and get out. My dad says I'm 19 and working fast food. I'm going nowhere. They gave me a year and I still haven't stepped up to adulthood. Mum says at my age, boys become men and start preparing to start a family or career. I have done neither and have no direction. My dad then says they talked this over and think this is the right choice and this isn't open for debate. I don't know how to comprehend this. I work 2 jobs, not just 1. I'm 19 and they expect me to have my life figured out. I don't know what I want to do. How can I be expected to know this? I can't afford my car note or rent since the cost of living is so high here. What the hell am I supposed to do? Is this even fair? Damn, dude, your parents suck ass. Preparing to start a family at age 19 is silly. Preparing to start a career at age 19 is not. Approach your current workplace about more duties and/or possibility of a management type position. This gets you paid more money. You've been given 2 months. I assume that's 4 paychecks. Find a roommate situation. I'm sorry you can't afford the car. It may suck riding a bicycle, but it's wheels. Learn the bus route. What you have in a roommate situation is half the rent and household bills, including groceries. Then you have your phone, doctor copays, and medical supplies, well-constructed shoes. Keep to the bare minimum. Use free month Netflix, bow out, then get Netflix again only when there's something you really want to watch, for another free month. Cold carts aren't all that healthy, but they're cheap and will keep you alive. Put off college until you can get established and into a roommate situation you can count on. If you have brand name clothing you don't need, sell them for quick cash on Depop or something. Don't let your spare time go to waste. Staring at a screen all night isn't going to help you further yourself. Get an odd job 2 or 3 nights a week to go with the job you already have. Is there really a point to trying to talk them into letting you stay longer? Clearly it's their home and they can dictate who lives there and who doesn't. But pushing you towards finding someone to make babies with at age 19 is weird. Once you're out of the house and into your own address, see if you can get EBT for a little while. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Find the local soup kitchen and eat there one night, serve the next night. Avoid impulse buys. Once things have settled down, look into trade schools. Get a welding certificate, perhaps. It's work you can be proud of and makes really good money. While you're getting your life together, avoid talking to your parents for a while, except when necessary. You don't want to fall into a construct where you're consistently asking your parents for help, advice, money, or anything else. Good luck to you, and may you always believe in yourself. I went to a fabrication and welding trade at 19, and was being paid $200,000 a year with 4 months off by 24. I'm 28 now, and have my own, very small, welding business. Demand is huge, and I charge whatever I want. It's not a bad path to take. The work sucks, but the money is worth it. Hyperfocus 1569 says, I was expected to either go to college or begin to train for a career at 18. I went to college. I expected the same of my children, and one went to college and the other went to a trade school. Both are successful and independent, which is the goal of setting that expectation. That said, I always knew that was the expectation, and so did my children. If your parents never communicated that expectation to you, it's kind of crappy to set it out of the blue, even if it was a year ago. Because the expectation was always known, planning and seeking direction were in the works long before 18 for both me and my children. I think a little more notice would have been in order so you could get serious about planning a workable exit strategy in a reasonable time frame. That said, it looks like you're faced with a very short window to plan a strategy that will allow you to support yourself. Look at moving in with a roommate, possibly selling your car to get a cheaper option, look into trade schools with a short training period, etc. If you decide on a trade and meet with the people at a trade school or union and then bring that information to your parents with a firm plan in place for completion and move out, maybe they'll allow you to continue to live there while you complete that. And now on to the update. They're adamant. I gave them a valid reason, gave them a plan, but they rejected it because it's too far, too late. My mum says she knows what they're doing is right, and in 10 years I'll be thankful. My dad said being homeless isn't so bad, and the life is hard, but I'll get by. I'm his son and will always land on my feet. I'm going to sell the car and most of my luxury items. I have to quit my jobs. A friend of a friend needs a roommate. We'll split the rent in 2. I'll pay $750. Internet and cable is his. Anything else is extra. I'll have to relocate across town. That's my only option. I'm already looking at jobs nearby within walking distance. Apartment is run down, but it's all I can afford. This sucks. It really effing sucks. They're abandoning me. The area is really rough, but it's what I gotta do. I hate them so much, it's genuinely not fair to do this to me, and anyone defending this is just as bad. I worked, I helped out, I was a good child. I didn't have a plan because I didn't know what I wanted in life. Being out of school meant I was given a degree of independence, freedom to decide what I wanted in life, and I thought I had time. In high school, I never had any social life. Never. My parents made me work and do EC activities. I rarely was allowed downtime to play games or hang out. If I wasn't busy, I was wasting time. After high school, I didn't have a plan for what I wanted. Since I was 18, I wasn't being pressured anymore. I took it easy and had more time to do unproductive things while I figured out things. Why is that wrong? I'm not a leech, I'm not lazy, I'm just trying to figure out who I am. If that makes me a loser, a failure, then I guess I am. Not everyone instantly knows everything after high school. Now in the comments, Vegetable Tank 6228 says, "Do not sell your car, because that gives you some place to live. I know it sounds crazy, but I lived in my car for a year just to buy a house. I showered at the gym, slept at rest areas as they had free Wi-Fi. I kept my belongings in a storage unit and kept just clothes I needed and blankets. I was always clean and no one knew any different. Even if OP isn't going to live in it, I wouldn't sell it until it's absolutely necessary. What if he can get a better job a bit further away? And it's so hard to save for a car. If you have one, at least you can get something out of it to put towards a better car." Quote, "My dad said being homeless isn't so bad and the life is hard, but I'll get by." End quote. Huh? I genuinely have no words. Anyway, I agree with others that you should not quit your job until you find a job near your new place. Right? I'd like to see the dad spend some time homeless if that's what he thinks. And Chilean Fruit Lover says, "Don't quit your job unless you have another one ready. Your only option now is to move out and keep going. You will be able to find your interests without pressure. Just remember that your parents will keep the 'we gave you everything' attitude, so they may ask for things from you in the future. Figure out whether you want to help them or not." G'day there guys, and that's the end of today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed it and were entertained by today's bloody good content. As always, I want to do a quick shout out and a thank you to all my channel members and Patreon subscribers. Your beautiful faces and names will be up on screen right now. Haven't forgot about you guys, sorry I was taking a little break there. So yeah, if you see yourself, give yourself a pat on the back. If you want to be on this screen, there's links down to the description below where you can sign up and help support the channel and all future projects that I'm going to be doing on this one. With all that said, I hope you guys have an amazing day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to. I'll see you in the next episode, and I do hope you enjoy it. Thank you.